Okay, thank you for staying. It's me again. Well, I will try to make this presentation short, although I think it's a really important presentation because the outcome is based from all the work we have done working close with governments and associations in developing health tourism in other countries. So, and the data I present are coming from surveys. We run every year 4 very severe surveys with medical tourism. So I think that you might benefit from some of our outcomes. I was asked to give some elements about developing health tourism and what you should do and what you should avoid. Well, the national branding, we won't speak a lot about branding, but Maria Todd, which is an American expert, says that branding is what people know a country about. It's for the quality, it's for the water, it's for the sightseeing. This is branding, a combination of what you offer and what people think about you. So a good start is to concentrate on the Romanian branding as a medical tourism product. So I think every country, the first thing that has to do is to understand and to define who they really are. What's the strengths and what's the weaknesses of our country? I think the speakers before me already analyzed the benefits for coming to Romania, and more or less all of you know the weaknesses, which is part is the branding, part is the accessibility. I think there is a small issue with the communication, but we will see it as we go on. Of course, you have to see what makes you different and what other people think about your country. For me, traveling to several countries, and before I come here, when I ask, what do you have, what comes in mind when you listen about Romania? You know that most people reply the Transylvania story and they call me Dracula, but they don't really know that Romania has wonderful premises, hospitals. I have seen hospitals in Romania with hygiene awards, but nobody knows out of Romania. So I think that you have to study or even make a survey of what people think about this country. And of course, what can you offer? When you start planning a strategy in medical tourism, I think the wrong approach is to say that we offer everything. This is not the right approach. You have to concentrate in some treatments which are in demand, and then you have to define where are you going to offer it. Because before I posed the accessibility issue, even if you have a great awarded hospital somewhere deep in Romania with difficult access, I'm afraid people won't go there. Where you are going to offer, you have to change, to choose the places and the territories due to what they offer, but due to how accessible it is to go there. And of course, you have to take into consideration the international trends. It was again here in Romania a couple of years ago. I heard a presentation of a university professor, and she presented some results of having, I think, an extra of GP practitioners. And what she said is that, well, we won't do medical tourism with what people want. We will do medical tourism with what we have. This is not a correct approach. You have always to follow the trends. What are people seeking? And already there are several international surveys demonstrating for which treatments people are traveling for. And of course, after all that, you have to define your medical tourism product by a combination of services and treatments. Of course, you cannot deliver the sky and the stars, as you see here. This is not the right approach. And now, Alexandru before made a statement about target markets. We really need to set some criteria on which country you approach for health tourism. When you see these stars on my presentations, is a lot of examples I want to share with you. In every country I go, like Greece, Turkey, Spain, when people start, they always have in mind, well, I'm going for the Russians because they're very wealthy. I'm going for the Arabs because they have the money. And for me, after all these countries we have worked with, I see that this is the wrong approach. The first thing you have to do is to check your neighbors. What do you offer that they cannot offer? I had a great case in Thessaloniki, Greece. There were 2 neurologists and 1 manager, and they set up an agency. And I congratulated them because instead of going for the Brits, for the Russians or the Arabs, they had a short survey and they said, we are going to approach the countries close to us that do not have the infrastructure to offer what we offer. And this, instead of going to, let's say, United Arab Emirates, they went to Albania and Bulgaria, and they now have contracts, and they perform more than 3 surgeries per day. It's not that I advise you not to go to countries with expensive health systems like UK, but I think that the right approach is to start with your neighbors, because something that definitely is an issue is that health tourism is being developed regionally. Not people from everywhere go everywhere. People from particular countries go to particular countries for particular treatment, and at the end, this is something you're going to see. Another example I have for this is the example of culture. I heard this gentleman at the beginning from Italy. I think indeed that Italy, due to the similarity of the language, might be an opportunity target market for Romania, and of course countries like Britain and Germany, but for different treatments. If you define all that, then your outgoing message is there already, and you are ready to communicate. First, you need to have an action plan. What we do in the following years. And your goals should be realistic, and you have to plan a strategy. This is how we're going to success. And when you have your strategy in papers and you say, well, I'm going out with these treatments to these countries, then you know whom to support. For Romania, as a European country, it's quite easy to get some European funds in order to support medical tourism. But if you don't have the criteria, then everybody can come to the government and say, help me, support me. And they have the right to do it. You know, in Greece, I have another example. I was in a conference, and there were 280 people, most of them doctors. And the minister was there, so a lady raised her hand, and she asked to say something, and she was a psychologist. And she said, well, if you help the others, you have to help to support psychologists, because psychology is very important in every treatment. And for me, she had the right to do that, because the government hadn't set any criteria. Whom are they supporting? They didn't have any scientific research to say we are supporting this treatment and this hospital for this reason. So if you have a strategy, then it's pretty clear which type of investments you are going to subsidize. Of course, organizing, Romania already has the association and this cluster, which the association should mostly serve as a tool of organizing, informing, and setting policies, and not, the members should not anticipate patients from the association. If the association or any cluster set the right direction, then it comes easy for the members to obtain foreign patients. Then you have to pass to the implementing process, and of course communication. For communication, I have to say a lot for Romania. last December I have been invited in Turkey, and I was invited to visit a big oncology hospital. And I had the meeting with the management, and then they asked my permission if I would mind to share my car with a patient. And of course I didn't have a problem, and it was a civil engineer, a gentleman from Romania. And he had been in Turkey for 2 months for an oncology treatment. And I asked him, why you came to Turkey for this treatment? I am aware that in Romania they do have this machine. And he told me, well, I didn't know, my doctor didn't know. So when I had to take the treatment, he advised me to go either in Germany or in Turkey, and in Turkey it was cheaper. So this is why I chose Turkey. So at that time I said, if a Romanian doesn't even know what exists in Romania, how would it be possible for foreigners to know about? So I think that communication is something that you have to work with very much. So in order to see how to get this overseas patient, we have to understand the root of an overseas patient. An overseas patient is usually somebody who has an idea of traveling for help, and this made them candidates, later customers, and out of the correct management, your promoters. This is the most important part, the last one, but most clinics fail to accomplish that. So now this is the important question: how can we finally manage to find this patient? In order to see that, I have outlined the buyers of medical tourism. The buyers are either governments who do not have the infrastructure in their countries, so they're seeking for healthcare options for their citizens in other countries. By the way, as we mentioned the Arabs before, I have to tell you that Dubai has set up a healthcare authority for medical tourism, and what they said is that we are not planning to attract severe cases in Dubai like cardiology or robotics. We only want light cases like cosmetic surgery. And I asked them why, and they said because we have a population of 1 million, so it doesn't worth the effort for us financing such hospitals because they will be never occupied by locals. So what we're going to do, we are going to keep sending severe cases in Germany or UK, and we're going to do health tourism with the cases of lower importance. Another case are the insurance companies, which former speakers already informed them, but this is not an easy case, making an agreement with an insurance company. Of course, healthcare providers, in our market it's called referral business. Let's say gynecologist in a Catholic country which cannot perform, let's say, IVF, can advise a couple to travel to another country. This is referral business. It is being developed among 2 healthcare providers. Investors who finance this type of investments, facilitators, which in fact are agents between a patient and a hospital, and of course the patient, him or herself. What I have to say, because there is a misunderstanding, and in the morning I heard somebody saying that the only way to obtain a foreign patient is through insurance or agents. This is not wrong. This is not correct, excuse me. Due to our survey, 66% of the people who travel for help search by themselves. Only 34% travels through an agent or an insurance company. This is an element you should know before you take your strategic decisions. So, a first way to approach medical tourism stakeholders in general, patients or companies or healthcare providers, are the exhibitions. But we see a lot of people going to exhibitions and coming back disappointed. This is why they don't have the criteria before they go. Recently in Dubai, where Alexandru and some other healthcare providers from Romania were there, I met a lot of doctors from Switzerland, Germany, Turkey. They were all disappointed. Do you know why? Because they have been promised and they anticipated to meet patients. And in fact, there were very few patients, and it was mostly a B2B event. Only business could beat business. Is that correct, Alexander?
Yes.
So, if you try to go to an exhibition, please ask them to give you the data of the previous years in order to see who are the regular participants. Now, the medical tourism alliances. I will start with the governmental agreements, which I mentioned before, but I will give you some examples. I will revert again to Turkey, where the government of Azerbaijan has agreements with hospitals for oncology and other treatments that they do not have the infrastructure to offer in Azerbaijan. This is why I told you to look into around your neighbors first. And then the embassies with 3 stars. The use of embassies in medical tourism is very poor from all countries. Embassies are not doing what they're supposed to do. Every time I speak with the minister and I tell them you should use your embassies, their first reply is that, you know, Maria, we have 100, 150, 200 embassies. We cannot support financially such a project. But I tell you that if you have a strategy, then it's only 2 or 3 embassies that have to be involved. It's only 2 or 3 embassies that you have to train. Only them have to run local events at the countries they're located. They have to go to meet governments and hospitals. It's not an expensive project, and it's not a project difficult to implement, but it's a project that you have to organize. I already spoke about the corporate agreements, and of course there is the importance of public relations, but I think Alexandru and other speakers before have outlined the importance of public relations. Press, you can use directories to list your members, so a high number of patients will know about them. We already spoke about the facilitators, and some of the do in medical tourism is like copy the best practices. From our data, we already see a trend in Romania for dentistry, but we see that because we have dentists as customers. If we had spa as customers, I could give you data for this, but I already see clearly a trend for dentistry. So automatically you can see the Hungarian practice. Maybe you can get some elements of how they have done it. So you have to explore the trends and the competition, and sometimes you have to copy what are they doing. A destination that comes after other destinations already established has the ability to use the best practices without having to pay for learning about them. So the outcome of countries should be a combination of quality, experience, reliability, safety. This is what patients need to see. And you always need to adapt to the changes that are coming ahead. Now, I will end these presentations with a few things to avoid. The lowest rating in all countries always go to communication. Even in countries like India, who used to be British, patients always give the lowest rating in communication. If you have to invest in training for hospitals and providers, one of the topics to invest is communication. People should speak, especially the nursing personnel, fluently at least one international language. And of course, diversification. As I said before, you have to search in several countries and not one, in several ways and not one. And do not rely on your strengths. I have an example. somebody said we are the nicest country of the world. Do you know where was he from? No. I heard it from one chain hospital manager in Spain last year, from one event organizer in Greece, from several hospitals in Turkey, and from people in Romania. No matter how beautiful is a country, you cannot rely on that, because everybody believes his own country is the nicest one. This is how it is. So don't over-rely on what you think or how would you expect things to do. You have to rely on projects and on techniques. And last, the reputation management. You always have to work on what people think about you. When you provide a treatment and people are happy about you, you need to communicate these messages. This is how it works. This chart is not just a picture. We have measured that every satisfied patient creates 3 new cases without having to pay not even 1 cent. So, a general data for medical tourism, which seems that it's in a good route, is that 89% of the people who have traveled for a health service would recommend to their friends, and 90% of them would do this again. These numbers indicate that most countries are in the right way. But when it goes wrong, which is not the majority, and people are disappointed, then they go back to their countries and they start the negative publicity, which is what a hospital or a country has to be very careful with. So as Franklin said, it takes too many deeds to build a good reputation and only one bad to lose it. So at the end, if you have your plans and implement a strategy for a couple of years, every 1 or 2 years you have to measure the results. We did this and we did that, and this worked and this didn't. So you have to know what went wrong, change things for improvement, what not to do next year, throw away what didn't work, and of course do your calculations for the next period. So if you have to do it, you have to learn to do it right.
Thank you for listening.